Good evening and welcome to the premiere edition of the 1995-96 IPFW Women's Basketball Show featuring Coach Pam Bowden. I'm your host, Matt DeLong, and in the next half an hour we're going to talk about all the exciting action that's going on with the 14-0 IPFW Women's Basketball team. Stay tuned. We'll be back with the show right after this message.
This vehicle can take you to places no other vehicle can. To strange worlds and even stranger life forms. It can take you inside a human heartbeat to the innermost mysteries of life itself. It can take you to the silicon landscapes of tomorrow's supercomputers. It can even take you to a world where information travels on highways of light. This incredible vehicle can take you as far as your ability and imagination will allow. But only if you don't bail out. So stay in school. This message was brought to you by the United States Air Force because we know how far a good education can take you.
Welcome back to the IPFW Women's Basketball Show featuring Coach Pam Bowden. I'm your host, Matt DeLong, and welcome to the premiere edition, as I stated in the opening. And a lot of excitement going on in IPFW Women's Basketball country this year as the team's off to a perfect 14-0 start. Well, actually, it's not a perfect 14-0 start. It's a perfect record over midway through the season to this point, 7-0 in the Great Lakes Valley Conference, and certainly serious reason for some great optimism, Pam. And how do you explain this season so far? In an overview, I mean, is this a major surprise to you, or is this the kind of luck where opportunity meets preparation?
I think part of it's a little luck. You know, you always have to keep injuries in mind and hope that, you know, you don't have too many of those things stopping you along the way. Hopefully, you know, looking at the beginning part of the season, we were hoping we could be 7-0 with non-conference games and go from there. But we've been very, very fortunate right now. The injuries have been kept pretty low, and the kids are just playing, you know, really, really hard. And that's been the real key for us. I think our kids have played harder than any opponent that we've had so far.
Well, and right off the bat, I think one of the greatest attributes that this team has is certainly free throw shooting. Right now, you're on an astronomical pace, shooting exactly 77.9% on the season. Where does that come from? Because at any level, 78% is unhuman as a team. And you've got several girls that rank in the top 20 in the country, and then I believe Barb Derry, who was in the top 10, just dropped out because she didn't have quite enough attempts.
Right.
Yet, so that would have been 3 to go along with Leah Sheets and Lindy Jones, who really frequent the line more than anybody else on the team. But is there some secret that you have in practice that is a magic formula?
Well, actually, we have this secret potion that's in the locker room, but no. Right now,
what's the NCAA have to say about that one, huh?
Yeah. No. Actually, I think it's just a matter of our kids really focusing on, you know, when they get to the line, and we really don't spend. You know, we shoot 10 to 20 free throws a day. We really don't spend a lot of time trying to go over technique. Really, just focusing on, you know, hitting at least 8 out of 10 every day. Our goal is 80% as a team, which we're a little off, but I'm pretty pleased with where we're at. We're leading the nation right now in free throw shooting. So, you know, as long as we can keep that up and get to the line enough times, you know, that's been very beneficial for us so far. Well,
Pam, there's no doubt, and I'm going to back up a little bit now that we've set up the team, and that this year, this show right here really is going to be a pretty hot item around Fort Wayne. We're going to talk about a lot of different things this year. I don't think we're going to try to get away from just you and I, kind of shooting the breeze. And why don't you fill us in on some of the things that we're going to be bringing the people this year here on the Women's Basketball Show?
Well, I think we want to try to get a few more of the players on the TV set so that they can give a little bit more insight into what we're doing. You know, we're going to have Tom Sutherland, our assistant coach, on today, and try to do some clips and, you know, just try to do a few different things so that people can have a better idea of what we're about and have a chance to, have a chance to meet the players individually and have a little bit more insight to what they're doing and what kind of people they are.
And also try to bring you some of the clips, some of the action that you see in the Hilliard Gate Sports Center when Channel 6 has the opportunity to get over. Now, Channel 6 had to cut back on their coverage a little bit this year because Channel 6 is actually growing and getting out into a lot of areas here at IPFW. But just about all the weekend events, both in basketball, men's and women's, and volleyball, they're going to try to be out at the Hilliard Gate Sports Center. And so it's going to be another great relationship with IPFW Athletics and College Access Channel 6. So we're going to be right here. We're going to bring you the clips whenever we have the opportunity. And to meet some of those players, and why don't we just throw out the names of some of those players that are actually starting to get their due in the Fort Wayne media. It's been a slow process. Actually, we're all on a mission for the furtherment of women's athletics these days. And it's starting to happen. I think people are starting to notice the Lindy Jones. Obviously a candidate for National Player of the Year right now. No doubt about it. She plays on an undefeated team. She's averaging 24.3 points on the season. Leads our conference in steals. Ranks up there with the team leaders in rebounds, assists, field goal percentage, leads the club in three-pointers. Those are the kind of players that we're going to be bringing to you, but there's also a few others. Yeah,
I think Jenny Newhart, who's out right now with a knee injury, she's another person that's really contributed to the program this year and is a senior, so we need to get her up and rolling here for the last few games. Wendy Recker, who's playing our point guard, has done just a fabulous job, I think. She's sacrificed a lot of her own personal stats and has really, contributed in the leadership role on the floor, and, whether it's practice or a game. Leah Sheets from Columbia City, who's done a fantastic job in the swing guard position. So those are some of the area kids that we want to get on the show and let people meet so that they can have an opportunity to see who they are as people.
Now, Pam, you've really, in a year and a half, is about the time that you've been here. I'm not going to say you've turned the program around. This has been a very solid program across the country, but you've really taken us to another level, and you've done a lot of little things to be able to bring us to that point. One of the areas that I want to touch on is going to be Tom Sutherland. He's going to be your guest here in the next segment. Tom is going to come in. You're going to fill us in on really what Tom's done with the program, how Tom assists you, what are some of his strengths, and I think that one of the areas is going to be recruiting. I don't know the stuff that you're allowed to talk about with recruiting right now, but I can say that we have already signed your top 4 recruits. I mean, if you could make a wish list with your top 4, you got all 4 of them. I mean, that's fabulous.
Yeah, we were fortunate enough to get everybody that we really wanted. We had some kids that we had to turn away that are great kids, and they're going to go to good programs and contribute at other places. But the kids that we were looking at, we had the opportunity to get. I think we have some very good kids coming in. I think we may surprise a few people with some of the talent that we have.
And not to mention the acquisition of Angie Eber.
Yes.
Coming in next year. I know we're allowed to talk about her at this time. And wow, transferred over from Indiana Tech, really strictly for academic reasons.
Correct.
She had to sit out this year because she started at IPFW, and rather than make any challenges or anything, she just said, hey, I'll sit out the year. Wow, she was an NAI All-American.
Yeah.
You didn't know anything about her when she comes to school here. And she joins the program. So you talk about that luck that we talked about earlier, Pam, and right there is a glowing example. When we come back in just one moment, we're going to be joined by Coach Tom Sutherland. He's going to fill you in on some of the areas that he's been, some of the areas that he adds to this team, and I'm sure he and Pam will have a few little discussions on the personal nature and what their goals are for IPFW basketball in the future. Stay tuned.
In a recent worldwide educational test, the United States didn't rank first,
Korea,
or second,
Taiwan,
or even third.
Switzerland.
It seems while the rest of the world raised their educational standards,
Scotland,
we didn't.
Slovenia,
So we came in
Spain,
14th.
the United States.
And 14th is no place for our kids to be. For a free booklet of simple things we all can do to help raise standards, call 1-800-96-PROMISE.
Hello, my name's Amy Grant. Our country's education reform movement, which emphasizes math and sciences, is important, and we should all support that. But let's not forget that music and the other arts are also important. They help teach discipline, creativity, and problem-solving skills. The teaching of music is becoming diminished and even disappearing in some schools, and our nation is poorer for it. We cannot let it continue. So get involved. Support music in our schools. I do.
Welcome back to the IPFW Women's Basketball Show. Joining Pam Bowden and I is Coach Tom Sutherland. He's an assistant coach in his first year here at IPFW. And Tom, I don't know what it is about that Eastern flavor that you and Pam. Well, Pam, I know you come out from Alaska, but I think you'll still call yourself an Easterner as far as where a lot of the basketball roots come from. We'll give you Michigan. Yeah. We'll give you Michigan, okay? And that'll come up in the recruiting talks and everything. But also, you two both met up. My point was, you met up out east. Yeah. I'm going to let you go into that. But Tom, since you got here, the team hasn't lost. We're ranked number 12 in the country. I think we negated to point that out in an earlier segment. And no pressure or anything. No pressure at all. None. But why don't you kind of fill us in on how you two came together, the kind of split off there for a few years, and now you're back together again. So, Pam, why don't you start us off on that?
Well, I had the pleasure of meeting Tom when I was out at Marist College, and we had an opportunity to work out there for a year and a half, something like that.
Now, Marist, let me, just for the Indiana people here, why don't you point out the significance of Marist so that credibility level goes way up.
Yeah, the Marist is the home of Rick Smits. So okay. Rick has done a great job for the Pacers, and Marist has the big tie-in with him, but we had the pleasure of meeting out there and working together. We did split off and go separate ways as assistants for the last, 4 years, 5 years, something like that. And, Tom can tell you about the places he's worked, but I went to Alaska after my stint at Marist, and he went out to Manhattan College for a little while, and then went out to University of Maryland, Baltimore County. And and we were fortunate enough to get the opportunity to work again together. So it's been I've really enjoyed it, and I think it's worked out real well for both of us. And I'm real pleased that I had the opportunity to bring him out.
So you both really, so you met in a Division I environment. Mm-hmm. In your wildest dreams, did you ever think that you would end up in Fort Wayne, Indiana?
No.
Not Fort Wayne.
I don't know where we were. We were hoping that we'd end up having the opportunity to coach with one of the other, at least one of us would have a head coaching position and bring the other in as an assistant at some point. We didn't know if that would be 5, 10, 15 years from now, mm-hmm. and or at what level. And we've wanted to coach together to see if we'd be able to work together, and we've got a great friendship, and we don't want to ever ruin that. But it's been, I think it's been great. Yeah. I've really enjoyed it.
So, Pam, you go out to Alaska, and Tom, why don't you kind of chronologically take us through your journey here to Fort Wayne?
Well, the year that we were together at Marist, we had a solid team that year. Should have won the conference, didn't. Pam had spent 2 years in Poughkeepsie, New York, which is where Marist College is located. And she needed a change from Poughkeepsie. I wanted a full-time college coaching job. I got hired at Manhattan College, which is in the Metro Atlantic Division I in New York City, Riverdale section of the Bronx. And Pam had a chance to go up to Anchorage. When my head coach from Manhattan got the job at UMBC a few years ago, she brought me down there. So over the last 5 years, I've been in New York City and Baltimore. And Fort Wayne is quite a change from those two cities. But the bottom line is basketball is basketball. Pam had an interview for the head coaching job up at Alaska Anchorage, did not get that job. I had an interview for the head coaching job at Manhattan College. Did not get that job. We both did what we had to do. We felt we wanted to coach together at some point in time. We thought we could be successful if somebody gave us an opportunity, and I'm just very happy to be working with her, regardless of whether it's Fort Wayne, Poughkeepsie, Baltimore, Anchorage, wherever. First and foremost, we're good friends. We've been good friends for 6 or 7 years, and I think, well, we respect one another. She's very good in certain areas where I'm weak, and so I think it's worked out very well.
Okay, so now you're back together, and the relationship is based on a friendship, or the coaching relationship, I should say, is based on that friendship, and that's showing. The team, the chemistry's there. The chemistry's there like it hasn't been in years past. The talent level is really about the same, Pam, as it was last year. What's been that key in bringing IPFW to the next level? Because we are at the next level now. There's none of this, what are they going to do next week or whatever. I think people were expecting us to win now.
Yeah, I think so.
The expectations are up. And we'll talk a little bit about some of the injuries that you've had this year. And you mentioned that Jenny Newhard's been a little banged up. We thought that she might be out for the season, actually, and that's not going to be the case, but she still has a tender knee. And it's obvious to me the depth on the team. But what are some of the things that have really tied this season together?
Well, first of all, I think you just touched a little bit on it, is the depth. We didn't have the depth last year. We had a couple kids that really worked during the summer, and I think it's really paid off for some of them. I think the freshmen coming in next year have to do the same thing. They have to work hard this summer and get a lot of playing time in, as do some of our returning people. They have to move up another notch athletically yet. So, I mean, I think that's one key that I think has really been a positive thing. I think last year we sort of had to put a lot of Band-Aids on things and just get through the season, and some things for some kids didn't work out, whether it's a personality or, some kids got into trouble academically. I believe that they need to put the whole thing together as a person, whether it's academically, athletically, socially. They have to represent our program in the right way. I'm not going to hold your hand while you go to class and get you up and that kind of stuff. You have to be responsible enough to do that. And some kids slit their own throats, and that's their problem. I think that we want kids that are going to take the responsibility to do what they need to do and take care of business, represent the program in a positive way, academically, athletically, and socially, and move in the right direction. Because if you want to be a championship program or be in the top 10 or be in the top 20, you have to act like it, and that's on and off the court. And I think that we've really just tried to show them the way and go game by game. And we're not really trying to get hung up on, well, we're top, in the top 15 in the country. That's important, but that's not the most important thing. The most important thing this week is getting past Indianapolis and Northern Kentucky. And so we've tried to really approach it one at a time. I think that we've been able to go from the bandage stage and babying kids through a season and getting through it to, we expect this, and really move it up a notch with our expectations. And it has helped with Tom coming in, and he's very demanding, and I think at first the kids didn't know how to take it, but I mean as we've gone, the kids are looking back at the record going, the hard practices have been worth it, and I think it's really paid off.
Tom, real quick, you got about a minute and a half left before the next break, and I want to get your impressions on the Great Lakes Valley Conference. It's a conference that is hot and cold. I mean, you have some of the toughest competition that you're going to face in the country, and then there's some teams that are down at the bottom that, man, are really tough to prepare for because they're not that good, but they can still push it. But what are your impressions with all your travels, and here's the GLVC?
Once you get into conference play, you have to convince your team that, number one, your opponent's going to be well prepared for you, either through live scouting or tape. The fact that teams play hard in their own gym, so that nothing is, no game is a given. And so whether it's the MAC or the Big South or whatever conference, once you get into conference play, games are hotly contested. And I can't say enough good things about USI's team. And I'll take them particularly since that's the last team we played. They have some Division I talent on that team. They play hard. They're well prepared. And that's what makes our job fun. We have to get the job done in order to compete with teams like that.
Well, we're going to be talking about a couple of teams like that. We got University of Indianapolis coming up this Thursday, right, and Saturday. Very tough game. All these games are on the road. Very tough game at Northern Kentucky. So why don't you stay tuned, and we'll be back with more of the IPFW Women's Basketball Show right after this message.
Check it out!
The campus has it all.
Learn it, or work it, or play it, just do it. It's a cool place. Call now! Go to work, go to school, go ahead.
If you don't stop someone from driving drunk, who will? Do whatever it takes.
Welcome back to the IPFW Women's Basketball Show. I'm your host, Matt DeLong, and Coach Pam Bowden with me now. This is our final segment, Pam. We really want to set up this coming week. Couple very tough games that obviously IPFW is a huge favorite in. University of Indianapolis coming up. The team right now, and let me get to the exact stats, Indianapolis comes in with a record of only 3-4 in the 3-4 in the conference, 7-7 overall. Is that a surprise for you? Because Indianapolis is a team that actually I felt that they handled us pretty well last year, both times.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised. I think the biggest problem for them right now is their inexperience in the point guard position. I think that's contributing a little bit to it. They had 3 really tough guards last year, and the point guard that they have right now, I think she's doing a decent job. Hensley's doing a great job, you know, as usual, but I think they're struggling a little bit with the inexperience and youth. Even in the post, I think they're really struggling with that concept. You know, they just don't have the depth as far as juniors and seniors in those positions.
Well, Hensley, Ann Hensley, guard for Indianapolis, probably the second best guard in the conference behind Lindy Jones, our Lindy Jones. And it's going to be the kind of game that's got to scare you as a coach, though.
Yeah, I think any of our road games, actually any game that we play in the conference, anybody at any time can beat anybody. So, I mean, you can't look past anybody and go, well, we're just playing such and such, and, well, they'll happen to be last in the conference and expect that you're going to come out with a win, because it doesn't really necessarily come true all the time. So I think, you know, everybody's got to attack it game by game and really be focused and prepared for each opponent, because anything can happen in this conference.
Well, then we move on. That's going to be our first meeting with Indianapolis this year. That's not going to quite close out our first round of conference play, but we're getting there. We start our second conference round, really, with Northern Kentucky then on Saturday. We still have Wisconsin Parkside yet to play then in the conference. But here's a team that you'll be playing for the second time. That'll be the first team that you've seen for the second time. And what'd you take from the first game? It was a win. It was a very sloppy win, though. Quite honestly, and we don't want to talk about the officials, but there were just far too many fouls called in the game both ways, and a lot of touch fouls and everything. So, as a coach, I mean, what do you look at in a game like that? Because it's really hard to go back to the tapes and expect to see the same thing.
Well, I think the biggest thing that we're going to have to really be prepared for is the physicalness of the game. Northern Kentucky and Bellarmine probably are the two most physical teams in the conference. And, you know, their teams are really just focusing on Lindy and really, you know, going after her hard. And she's taken quite a few shots, and, you know, at first we weren't really prepared for that the first round. We got about the first 5 games, and we started focusing on that in practice and, you know, just getting the football dummy out and stuff like that. Just because we're getting hit so hard on layups and on the drive and stuff like that, whether it's off the break or in the half court. And the kids started looking over their shoulder a little bit, and I think our shooting percentage probably dropped about 10% just because we were a little apprehensive with what was going on. And I think we've gotten over that a little bit. I think our kids are going in with a lot more confidence. They're starting to use a power layup a lot more. And our shooting percentage has gone up since we've you know, put that in practice. So hopefully we can get over that, and we're a little bit more mentally prepared for the physical part of the game that we're going to have on Saturday.
Okay, Northern Kentucky is also 3-4 in the conference, 6-7 overall. Again, another one of those bubble teams. They could do it to anybody on any given night, and seems to be pretty much the theme all the way down through the conference this year. You know, I was talking to Rick Myers. He's the sports information director for the Great Lakes Valley Conference, and you know, he was pointing out that, you know, you guys have made more free throws than any of your opponents have even attempted. Quite a statistic, and part of his point there was, you know, when people were preparing to play you, and this is coming from a complete outsider, he said when people were preparing to play you now, you're undefeated, they're preparing to play a war. They want to go to war. And that's really what it's turning into, isn't it?
Well, I think any time that you haven't lost a game, whether it's 7-0 or 9-0 or 14-0, people are looking out to knock you off, and it doesn't matter if you're the best team in the conference or the worst team in the conference. They want to be the one to have credibility of doing that, and I think that was true with us last year when we knocked USI off, you know, when they were ranked 3rd in the country. I mean, you could say, yeah, we beat the number 3 team in the country, so there's a lot of, you know, power with that. So, you know, right now people are going to look, we're number 1 in the region, we're 12th in the country, and you know, I don't really know if we're going to move, you know, much further up in the national rankings unless some other people lose and we continue to win. And I'm not as concerned with that. I'm more concerned with where the regional rankings are, and that we stay in the 1 and 2 spot in the region.
Yeah, the national ratings are done. It's a coaches poll, basically. The NCAA doesn't really have a whole lot to do with it, and they gave that up. Now, to qualify for the NCAA tournament, they go by the regional rankings.
Yep, we're still regionalized.
And we're still number 1 there. That's really the only one that matters. And quite honestly, the politics involved with any coaches poll, it's just natural. It's nothing against the coaches. They see certain regions of the country, and those are the teams that they know.
Well, and we right now don't have the tradition of being a powerhouse team in the top 20 year after year, and so we're newcomers to where we're at in the national rankings, I think. And you know, I don't know if we've ever been this high, and you know, if we have, we haven't maintained it, and that's something that we need to do down the road and to keep up there. And after a while, people will recognize us, and we will be one of those teams that get that kind of national recognition.
Well, look, hopefully the fans will keep coming out. We had a great crowd for Southern Indiana. I want to thank the community for coming out, really supporting IPFW women's basketball that night. It was certainly a spectacular night, and we don't want to get out of this show without pointing out that Lindy Jones, for the 3rd time this season, was named GLVC Player of the Week last week. She averaged 31 points a game. So, Lindy, good job, and good luck on your quest for All-America honors again this year. For Coach Pam Bowden, Assistant Coach Tom Sutherland, I'm Matt DeLong. Thanks for joining us here on the IPFW Women's Basketball Show. Good evening and welcome to another edition of the Pam Bowden Show. We're going to be talking about IPFW women's basketball this week and last week. Last week was a tough week. We're going to get into that with Coach Bowden here in just a few moments. Also talk about the upcoming week. Why don't you stay tuned? We'll be right back.
What are you eating?
Pizza.
What kind of pizza?
Plain cheese.
How are you eating it?
I'm eating it on the side. Because...
Hey, you lost your 2 front teeth.
I know I did.
What do you want for Christmas?
I don't know.
If you don't stop someone from driving drunk, who will?
My 2 front teeth.
Do whatever it takes.
Team spirit is alive and well at IPFW. That's because IPFW has established itself as an athletic power, not only regionally, but nationally. With 11 major sports, IPFW offers talented student athletes great opportunities. Success and support of IPFW athletics comes solely from the fans, students, faculty, alumni, and the prestigious Royal Dons Club. The Royal Dons Athletic Club has over 500 members who financially support IPFW athletics, enabling the university to provide scholarships to deserving athletes. Members will receive one or all of the following: season passes to all sporting events, special seating, hospitality room, plus Royal Dons apparel and gifts. Be a part of the winning tradition. Join the Royal Dons Club. We need your support. Call IPFW Athletics. Get into the team spirit.
Check it out!
The campus has it all.
Learn it, or work it, or play it, just do it. It's a cool place. Call now! Go to work, go to school, go ahead.
Welcome back to the Pam Bowden Show. I'm your host, Matt DeLong, and Coach, we're gonna recap last week, if you bear with me. I know it was a tough one. It was a tough one. I mean, you lost 2 games. Team was 14-0 going into the week. You know that you got 2 tough games coming up. There's no doubt about it. But the talent level, the way that reads out, you know, you're still the best team. I mean, there's no doubt. You can look to have an off night and probably wondering when it's going to happen, and then you go into Indianapolis. A tough loss on Thursday night. Why don't you take us through that?
Well, actually, through both games last week, we struggled a little bit defensively and on the boards. And, you know, from a coaching standpoint, I'm disappointed in those 2 areas because, you know, a lot of people are saying, you know, you guys are doing such a good job, and yet we're still trying to, you know, work every day real hard on the defensive end because that's something that we needed to improve on from last year, along with the rebounding. But for some reason, we just, you know, didn't play hard enough defensively, and we didn't go to the boards. And, you know, I know that Jen Newhart, you know, we definitely miss her. I mean, she's given us about 8 boards a game, and you know, that does make a difference. But you know, that's not an excuse for us.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously Jenny Newhart is out, and we'll just bring the viewers up to speed on that. She's got a knee injury. She's had several knee injuries over her career, and played 9 games this year. Of course, we've played 16 on the season. What's it look like for Jenny at this point?
Actually, it looks pretty decent. She tore a piece of cartilage. It was in the back part of her knee, and the doctor said that it probably is going to be about 2 weeks before she can get back with us. She was at practice today and still looks a little bit swollen. So you know, it's gonna definitely take the 2 weeks, and if we can get through the next 4 games without her, and then rest her, you know, start practicing her the following week, I think we'll be okay.
Okay. So things kind of fell apart right around halftime of that first game, it seemed. And you're playing against a tough guard in Ann Hensley. She's all GLVC at Indianapolis, but Indianapolis lost their point guard from last year, and I think some games here recently where they've kind of stubbed their toe a little bit, but this is still a very good team, and it seemed like, but from what I heard, they played an excellent game, and you guys just weren't quite up to par that night.
Yeah, that's probably one of the best games they've played all year, and sound like they won the national championship when they got done, unfortunately. But you know, we were dragging a little bit, and you know, we just didn't have the work ethic or the, you know, toughness to get through it. You know, we held in there. You know, even though it was a 6-point game, I still think that we should have come out of that game with a win, and we didn't. I'm just very disappointed with that.
And you've stated, you know, that you've been disappointed with the player, at least maybe the preparation, the mental preparation, I think, is the toughest thing heading into a game like that. And do you think that the team realized, you know, they're 14-0, they're probably, at least we felt, underranked at number 12 in the country, considering who has beaten who and who we've beaten in the past.
Right.
Do you think that they kind of just thought, you know, 14-0, people aren't shooting for us? I mean, you know, this was, like you said, it was a national championship, and we saw over the weekend in men's basketball where Penn State lost their first game to Michigan, and for Michigan it was like a national championship. I mean, when you beat an undefeated team over halfway in the season, you're beating a pretty good team.
Yeah, you know, I really don't know what it was. I'm hoping that it wasn't that we were afraid to lose, because if we're afraid to lose and you lose, you've fulfilled that thought, and so that disturbs me if that's where we're at, because, you know, that's just like you should be shooting to win, and not looking at trying not to lose. And I think we focused a little bit on that, and hopefully, you know, and I think even when we went to the Northern Kentucky game, we were sort of wondering, you know, can we do it a little bit, and, you know, I just want our kids to go out every game. And everybody has a shot in every game. That's the way I've always looked at it. And a team that works the hardest and does things, you know, correctly, they're gonna come out with a win. Very few times is it going to happen the other way, where you really outwork a team, and, you know, with the exception of if you're just shooting and not getting the right opportunities, that you're going to lose.
Yeah, so you mentioned Northern Kentucky, and let's just recap. The final of the Indianapolis game was 90-84. So, I mean, you would look at the score and think that it's in our favor. It's a high-scoring game. Lindy Jones leads us with 33 points. Tara Mazzillo had 9 rebounds in the post again. Obviously missing Jenny Newhart in a game like that down low, where you know, if Indianapolis is running, you can slow the pace down with your physical interior. So that's a game where that stands out. But then Northern Kentucky, I mean, maybe you think that, okay, they got it out of their system now. Northern Kentucky's a team that you had just beaten 80-63 3 weeks ago. Really handled them. The only way they could stop you was to foul you. And so you go and set a conference record with 52 free throws in that game. You made 42 of them, I believe, which was incredible. Yeah, something 40, 42. It was amazing. And so this is a team you should have plenty of confidence against. And first half, again, it's pretty tight, but you said the problem still started in the first half.
Yeah, I think, you know, when we go on the road, we're not going to shoot 50-some or 40-some free throws. So, I mean, we're going to shoot maybe 20, 25 free throws on the road. And we have to go after. We can't automatically think that every shot's in. So that's part of it, that we're going to be minus 20 to 25 opportunities a game that we're used to having for whatever reason at home. But defensively, I thought we were doing some good things defensively in the first half. You know, shot fairly well, but we didn't get a lot of shots off. We only got 18 shots off, so I think we were shooting 55% in the first half, made 10 of 18, got to the line not very many times, but, you know, enough for being on the road. But really where we collapsed was in the rebounding area the whole game, and along with defense in the post. They ran like a J cut off the low post to the high post and worked the high-low game. And our post players didn't communicate. We'd have 2 people low, and then all of a sudden figured that, you know, I'm supposed to be up here guarding this player. Or if they did make the switch, they didn't put enough pressure on the ball, so the lob pass was really easy. So basically, Northern Kentucky got a lot of, you know, high percentage shots in the low post, and we don't have help side. So I mean, it's just a one-on-one situation every time. So if you don't defend it and put a lot of pressure on the passer, they have an easy opportunity to score. And
another thing we need to point out, I mean, one of our top players, Leah Sheets, really unable to get going that game. Only 1 shot, 2 rebounds in the game. And so Northern Kentucky, to give them credit, they're doing something to cause that. And we're going to talk here in just a little while about what we're going to need to do to get back on track. We'll be back with a few guests right when we return.
There's an awesome power that can eliminate over half of our nation's defense forces. It's everywhere, and it can strike at any time. Who has this incredible power? You do. If you employ National Guard and Reserve members, you need to use your power wisely, because today, the Guard and Reserve make up over half of our country's defense. So when they need time off to serve, be a hero. Give them the freedom to protect ours.
Sally wants to be a surgeon someday. Maybe she'll operate on you. Now, would you like a free booklet of simple ways you can help improve her education? Call 1-800-96-PROMISE.
Why would anybody give someone they don't know a gift? Because the need is desperate. Please give blood. There's a life to be saved right now.
Welcome back to the Pam Bowden Show. We're talking about IPFW women's basketball, and we have a couple special guests here with us this week. Lindy Jones, a senior out of Decatur, Indiana, and Wendy Recker, a junior from Auburn, Indiana. I got that right. Every time I think of Auburn, though, Wendy, I want to say DeKalb. So I apologize, and it's not DeKalb, Indiana. So anyway, guys, I mean, it's been quite a season so far. I mean, and we talked about it. Gosh, I mean, obviously we're on a bummer right now. I mean, we've lost a couple, but you guys have been there before. I mean, and come out of it. Now, a 14-game winning streak, and I told you we were going to talk about this. I mean, did you really think that this was the kind of team that could go off and you're picked third in the preseason in the conference? Now you've gone on, you've risen through the ranks. You're a top 20 team. You went to the top of the region. And I'll just throw this out to either one of you. I mean, did you think that this was the kind of team that could really go off and do that 14 straight games?
I think we had the potential to, play really hard and be a good team together. But I didn't think that we'd, go out and be 14-0. But I think that our team has worked together a lot, and it's changed quite a bit from the last few seasons. So.
And what did you think?
I kind of agree with Lindy. I mean, we have a lot of individuals on the team with a tremendous amount of talent, and we've really come together. Even in the preseason, we even worked more as a team. I was kind of surprised with the 14-game winning streak. I knew we had potential to do great things, but I could say I was a little bit shocked.
Has there been one game this year that you guys went into and you really didn't think that you would win it, though?
That we would win it?
Yeah, like this is going to be this is the toughest one. This is the one.
Well, I think our first tournament or classic was it was just a tester to see how we'd play and things like that, and we didn't know for sure. We knew they were going to be really tough teams, but we came out on top. So. And that was out in Edinburgh, Pennsylvania, out around Erie, and you really handled two pretty good teams. You beat Edinburgh 106-90. Then you went on and clipped Shippensburg State 98-87. Now that's a team that they were top 10 at the time in the preseason. And I think that, like you said, I mean, that's where a lot of momentum got built up. Now, over the last, you all have played together now for, what, 2.5 seasons? And you've got a pretty good relationship on the floor. And off the floor, obviously, but I mean, on the floor, the point guard, which is where Wendy's at, and then, Lindy, you're going to finish your career the number 2 scorer in all time. And when you compare that to Lisa Miller and the all-time numbers she put up that even go in the NCAA stats, I mean, that's pretty nice. But it's got to be nice for you to have a point guard like Wendy to get you the ball and to find you when you're open and really enable you to do what you do best, and that's score. Wendy does a great job seeing the floor, and she's always looking for me on transition and things like that, because I try to get down the floor as fast as possible, as well as Leah. So she's always looking up, and so she does a good job pushing the ball and getting the ball to the open person. And if not, then she'll find it somewhere else. So. And as somebody that likes to dish out the assist, it's got to be nice knowing that you are going to get that assist, because Lindy's going to put the ball in.
Definitely. I mean, I feel I have a lot of confidence in all the players on the team, and like Lindy said, I can push the ball up, but they have to get down the floor first. So they do a great job of getting down the floor, and once I get them the ball, they do what they need to do. So.
Yeah, and Wendy, just looking at the stats from last year you averaged in double figures. You get a few more assists a game. Now this year, the numbers are down a little bit. The team's winning a whole lot more. I mean, what do you attribute that to? It seems like there's some serious depth there now.
There is. The team has tremendous depth. I have sacrificed, some of my stats, but the overall success of the team is what really matters to me. So I'm not worried about the individual statistics. It's the win-loss record that I'm concerned with.
Well, so I'll just ask you guys, what do you look for the rest of the season? What do you think this team's going to be able to go on? And maybe what are some of the team goals that you all have set and look forward to accomplishing?
We've set a tremendous amount of goals, and actually we've achieved some of the ones that we were kind of iffy about whether or not we would or not. We still are looking to win the GLVC. We just want to finish these last 11 games on a positive note. We don't want these losses last week to affect us. We want to, finish on top.
She did pretty well.
That's pretty good. Now, I mean, there's another thing I want to point out is you all come from real basketball families. Wendy, your entire family is involved. I think you're the oldest.
I'm the oldest.
And it goes on down to a young sister. Annie played here last year. Decided, that she's going to concentrate on school, and then you got your brother Luke. Is already turning a lot of heads. He's already committed to IU.
Right.
And Lindy, your brother, was a standout at Purdue. Now with the IU connection here and the Purdue connection, you guys still able to get along? I mean, the boys in the family?
Oh, definitely.
Not much of a problem.
No.
Well, look, we want to thank you all for coming by, and look, continued good luck heading into the rest of this year. I tell you, the big win over Southern Indiana, I think, a week ago, showed a lot. And real quick before I let you go, what does this mean doing what you've done lately, though, and minus Jenny Newhart? You got to be looking forward to getting her back.
Yeah, we're looking forward to getting her back, but I think it's important that we deal with the people who we have now, and you can't always look to somebody who's out and say that's why we lost. So we just have to pull together as a team.
And it seems like the team has been, somebody's been coming in off the bench or whatever and really been filling some good roles this year. So, look, hey, guys, thanks for joining us. Good luck this weekend. You're on the road at Parkside and where else?
St. Joe.
And at St. Joe. St. Joe's going to be a real big one, so make sure you bring us back a good win on that one. Look, stay tuned. We'll be right back with Coach Pam Bowden talking about St. Joe and Wisconsin Parkside this week. We'll be right back.
Hello, I'm Kenny G. New national standards for music and the other arts in our public schools can help ensure your child receives a complete education. To find out more, call this toll-free number.
Billy wants to work on airplanes when he grows up. Maybe one that you fly in. Now, would you like this free booklet of simple ways you can help improve his education? Call 1-800-96-PROMISE.
Throughout America, there are a lot of hungry mouths to feed. 12 million of them are children. Call Second Harvest and feed a child today.
Welcome back to the Pam Bowden Show. I'm your host, Matt DeLong, and joining me now again after a one-segment hiatus is Coach Pam Bowden. And Coach, got the impression from the girls, the last time that a little bit upset. I know you had some hard practices leading into the weekend. And what's your impression? Have they responded, going to respond, and maybe your impressions also on the competition this weekend?
Well, I think they're going to respond. I know that if we lose another game, it's not because we didn't work hard enough and take care of business. So I just want them to come out and work hard every time they get on the floor, whether it's in practice or the game. And I think they'll take care of business on Thursday, and that'll lead us into the weekend. So, I'm real optimistic that we have a good shot at being 2-0 after the weekend. And if we do that, we're back on track with what we need to do for the rest of the season.
Now you're going to be facing we'll talk about Wisconsin Parkside here in a moment, but you're facing a St. Joe's team that is traditionally, that's one of the great matchups in the Great Lakes Valley Conference in women's basketball is IPFW St. Joseph's. Really a classic matchup. The last time that we saw each other, It was IPFW 82-72, a 10-point spread. Nah, not really.
No.
That was a pretty tight game.
Yeah, it was. St. Joe's, they have quite the following of fans, and they're always very competitive, so it's a very good rivalry, and I'm really looking forward to playing them again and see if we can sneak one out of their gym.
Now they have the Pottinger girl, Tammy Pottinger, I believe is her name. 16 rebounds against us. She ranks nationally in rebounding, and not sure if Jenny Newhard will be there. Probably not this week. Does that concern you? Because Jenny and her really had quite a matchup in the last game, wasn't it?
Well, I think Tara Missoula can handle her pretty well, so it's just a matter of how hard we want to play and, if we get in foul trouble or not. But Pottinger is a great player. I wish she wouldn't have transferred in, but she did, so that's life. But she's a phenomenal low-post player. She's very strong. She seals well and goes to the boards pretty well. She's a lot different than Leanne Freeland from USI, who runs the floor a little bit better but doesn't quite have the post moves that Pottinger has.
Okay, and then we have Wisconsin Parkside. Really don't know much about them. This is their first year in the conference. This will be the first time that we've played them this year. Not real sure about the series history, but you've never played them.
We did play them last year, one game.
Oh, the one, okay.
Yeah, and we smoked them pretty bad here, but we are on the road in the first game out of the series, so, don't know what to expect from them because we haven't really seen them play except for a little bit on tape. So right now, I know they're a young team and they're a little bit down in the conference in standing and that kind of stuff, but we need to have a good game against them and not play down to their level.
Nothing like looking that bad, though, when you're asking a question about a team and you forget to, we played them last year, and we did smoke them, and I think probably one of the reasons that they are going through a tough time like that is they're not used to playing in a conference situation, and really the competition night in and night out is a lot more than playing a good team and a bad team and being able to schedule that way.
Well, they were pretty young last year when we played them, and they were real banged up, so for them, it's been a real learning experience about the conference and how physical it is and stuff like that. So I think that's probably taken them a little bit by surprise. But I think down the road, the next couple years, they're going to get stronger and stronger every year, and I think they'll be a pretty good competitor for us.
Well, Coach, right now we're standing at 14-2, 7-2 in the Great Lakes Valley Conference. Now we've fallen only to third place in the regional standings. And why don't you explain how in women's NCAA women's Division II basketball, what's it going to take for IPFW at the end of the season, however it works out? But why don't you explain to us, for us to go to the NCAA tournament, which we haven't done since the 1991-92 year, what's it going to take for IPFW to get there, and where do you play? And why don't you explain that whole situation to us?
Well, I mean, it's politics just as in anything else, but it's really based on the regional rankings, not the national poll that's out by the USA Today. And the important part, I guess the most important part, is to be in the top 2 because you get the automatic bye in the first round. And but they take the top 6 teams out of our region, which consists of our conference and the GLIAC. And we want to be, I'd say, in the top 2. To do that, I would say that we probably have to win the conference. So pretty much for us to do that right now, we've got to hope a lot of teams lose some key games, and we've got to come and sneak a few games out of people's home gyms, which is going to be very difficult, I think, because everybody plays very strong at home.
So there's 11 games left in the season right now. We're really just starting to get into the second round of the GLVC. What are some of the tough challenges you're looking at right now? And what are some of the big games that you need to shoot for?
Well, we need to win all the games that should be the automatic wins. And I would have put the last 2 games that we played, if I would have figured, are we going to have a chance to win? Yeah, we got a chance to win against Northern Kentucky. I would have said yes. So I really was hoping that we were going to win both of those games last week and, remain at the top part of the conference. Unfortunately, we didn't, and the teams that are really going to be the tough teams are the Bellarmines, the USIs, the St. Joe's, because we're playing them all on the road. And the true test to be just how difficult, I guess, can we go into somebody else's gym and be on the road and steal a couple big wins? And if we can do that, we'll be right there. If we don't, we may have played ourselves right out of, the conference championship and or playoffs.
Okay, the tournament though it is that top 6 teams. So that's correct.
And it is regionally based, so very seldom do they come and flip somebody from another region into your region. So I would say we're going to get 2 or 3 teams from our conference in that.
Some of the other top teams in the region you'll be competing with?
Right now, Northern Michigan, Michigan Tech, Oakland University, are some from the GLIAC. From our conference, Bellarmine, USI, St. Joe's. There's a little bit more parity, I think, in our conference, so we seem to beat each other up quite a bit. So.
And Ashland University was also undefeated going into last weekend, and then they had to make the trip that nobody would wish on their worst enemy, which is up to Northern Michigan, over to Michigan Tech, and then back to Ferris State or Lake Superior State. Which is all up in the Upper Peninsula in Michigan. It's a horrible trip. They went 0-3, so they really took a dive in the regional rankings. Again, we're ranked number 3 right now. The NCAA national polls will be out there, the USA Today polls will be out, but quite honestly, like you said, that has no bearing whatsoever on making the NCAA tournament.
Not really, unless people are going to be influenced a little bit politically, but I mean, for the most part, the regional rankings are where it's at right now, and we dropped to 3rd this week. I thought maybe we'd even slide a little further. I'm glad we didn't. We have 2 more games. If we can prove ourselves this week, I think we can hang in there. And, like I said, if we can sneak a couple, good wins out of somebody else's gym and win the games that we're supposed to win, we'll be okay.
Now, I'll tell you what, Pam, I mean, as the season goes on, it seems like Lindy Jones' numbers keep getting better. She is clearly proving to be, one of the best of all time here at IPFW, but a definite contender for National Player of the Year this year. She's averaging 24.9 points, which is tops in our region and in the conference. 2.9 steals per game, which is tops in our conference and also in our region. 5.6 rebounds. She's really rolling.
Yeah, I think it really just depends on how well we finish, where she'll finish up.
Yeah, well, look, Pam, thanks. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
We'll be back next week to preview a home weekend. Finally, we'll be back February 1st and the 3rd. That weekend, we got Quincy and SIU Edwardsville in here. For head coach Pam Bowden, I'm your host, Matt DeLong. Stay tuned next week. We'll be bringing you all the women's basketball action. Thanks.
Team spirit is alive and well at IPFW. That's because IPFW has established itself as an athletic power, not only regionally, but nationally. With 11 major sports, IPFW offers talented student athletes great opportunities. Success and support of IPFW athletics comes solely from the fans, students, faculty, alumni, and the prestigious Royal Dons Club. The Royal Dons Athletic Club has over 500 members who financially support IPFW athletics, enabling the university to provide scholarships to deserving athletes. Members will receive one or all of the following: season passes to all sporting events, special seating, hospitality room, plus Royal Dons apparel and gifts. Be a part of the winning tradition. Join the Royal Dons Club. We need your support. Call IPFW Athletics. Get into the team spirit.
Good evening and welcome to this week's edition of the Pam Bowden Show. We're talking about IPFW women's basketball, and the team is ranked number 18, 16-2 record, 2-0 last week. Stay tuned. We'll be back to talk about last week. We've got Jenny Newhard and Lindy Jones, career high for Lindy. We'll be right back.
What are you eating?
Pizza.
What kind of pizza?
Plain cheese.
How are you eating it?
I'm eating it on the sides. Because...
Hey, you lost your 2 front teeth.
I know I did.
What do you want for Christmas?
I don't know.
If you don't stop someone from driving drunk, who will?
My 2 front teeth.
Do whatever it takes.
Team spirit is alive and well at IPFW. That's because IPFW has established itself as an athletic power, not only regionally, but nationally. With 11 major sports, IPFW offers talented student athletes great opportunities. Success and support of IPFW athletics comes solely from the fans, students, faculty, alumni, and the prestigious Royal Dons Club. The Royal Dons Athletic Club has over 500 members who financially support IPFW athletics, enabling the university to provide scholarships to deserving athletes. Members will receive one or all of the following: season passes to all sporting events, special seating, hospitality room, plus Royal Dons apparel and gifts. Be a part of the winning tradition. Join the Royal Dons Club. We need your support. Call IPFW Athletics. Get into the team spirit.
Welcome back to the Pam Bowden Show. I'm your host, Matt DeLong, and thankfully we're talking wins this week, not losses. Last week was a pretty tough show to struggle through, and anytime you start off a season 14-0 like IPFW did, you lose 2 consecutive games. Pam, I mean, the team definitely took a blow. Go into Wisconsin Parkside last week, and as you told us last week on the show, it was going to be a pretty tough week. We had Lindy Jones and Wendy Recker on the show immediately after they got up, because we filmed the show after practice on Monday evenings here at IPFW in the Channel 6 World Headquarters here. And as we came in, we finished up, and Lindy and Wendy were both very open about how bad they hurt. So I don't expect that really stopped, and that took us into Wisconsin Parkside. So what were the motivation tactics last week? Again, the team's 14-2 now. You start off 14-0, so you're talking standing on the top of the mountain to the bottom. I mean, 2 consecutive losses can take the wind out of anybody. So what was the tactic last week to get them back on the right track?
Well, considering that we did play one of the best games we had played and had rolled into two terrible games, we decided that we were going to do a shock tactic a little bit. And we went to blowing the whistle every time there was a mistake, and really trying to get them to focus back and get back on track with the motivation and the work ethic a little bit more. And, you know, hoping that Thursday we weren't going to be too dead as far as our legs, and maybe giving them a little easier practice on Friday and then going at it again Saturday. The kids really rose to the occasion, and you know, we struggled a little bit during the Parkside game, but when we got to St. Joe's, we were ready to go.
Against Parkside, only one player in double figures, actually 2. Lindy Jones has 22 points to lead you, and I believe Jessica Henry also popped in 12 points. That's really the only double figure scoring, but then we see some real good balance out of the rest of the team, both on the boards, on defense as far as getting some steals. Lindy Jones also had 8 steals in that game to go along with her 22 points. And it looked like the team kind of balanced out, where one may have slipped off, the other started coming up. But you're also playing a Parkside team that you blew out of the water last year. And this is their first year in the conference, and they're kind of struggling a little bit. So does a 10-point win, are you kind of discouraged after that?
No, not really, because I knew that we would struggle a little bit through that just because of being tired. I mean, we basically went to the track practice Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and not, you know, hoping that we could get them back on track mentally and not, you know, having to play through a tough game on Thursday, I think really helped us. And you know, we could have lost one more game, and if we would have, I think maybe we would have lost on Saturday even.
So then, Pam, you know, you're looking at Saturday, as you and I talked, and assistant coach Tom Sutherland a few weeks ago, we were preparing for this 2-week road stand, which is 4 games. And I think all of us, as we talked about that, we looked at Northern Kentucky. You know, really, it'll be a tough game on the road, but we'll get that one. We felt confident. Indianapolis, again, we felt pretty confident. Wisconsin Parkside was, I mean, a game that we should win. But St. Joseph's, which was the final game, I mean, that one was the question mark. They've been a thorn in our side for years, and they go out, and the team seems to find themselves again in that game. It was a 92-76 win.
Right. Yeah, I was wondering a little bit when we got out on the court, you know, and warming up, you know, we're real quiet and that kind of stuff, and geez, you know, I was a little nervous, you know, because we're going back in, and I didn't know if we were going to have the legs or not, because Parkside doesn't have a wood floor. They have that tartan. And just, you know, with the fact that we had run them really hard Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and then played on the tartan Thursday, I was wondering if we were going to be able to come out and do some things. But for the first time, I think we actually came out and really, you know, like stuck it to somebody really quick and early in the game, and they just were never able to really recover from that. And, you know, I think we got up 25 at one point and finished the game with a 16-point lead. So, you know, I'm very, very pleased with how the kids play. We played a lot more physical. We went after the boards. We had 11 plus on the rebound side. For us, that's fantastic. And hopefully we can keep that up, because I think if we can continue to play at that pace and at that level, there are a lot of good things that are going to happen for us.
And you were up 25, and St. Joseph's is not just another team. No. They are a very good team. Currently, they're 12-6. 2 of their losses are to us. I mean, they've lost to some very, very good teams this year, and you're up 25. I mean, what are you thinking? I mean, thanks for showing up. You've taken a week and a half off. Way to be. I mean, I knew you had it in you.
No, actually, it's a little frustrating, because we could be in a lot better position in the conference if we would have had the other 2 wins, or even one of the other two losses that we had as a win. And but I think for us, you know, everybody's wondering, you know, still got the questions in their mind, you know, are they really for real, and blah, 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 even from a regional standpoint. And I think for us, you know, we had a bad week, and it's time to move on and continue to look at each game individually and not to look too far ahead, and, you know, try to get ourselves back on track. If we won those 2 games last week, which we did, that kept us in the running. We need to do the same thing this week with 2 more wins.
Okay, and and we're going to get into that as we get into the final segment, talking about the upcoming games. Before we bring Lindy up, she'll be here next segment again, and along with Jenny Newhart. But her performance, a school record-setting 43 points, a personal career best 14 rebounds, and she didn't really just herself carry the team. It just kind of came that way. Tara Mazzillo also nearing her career high with 21 points, I believe 22 points in the game. It was another team effort. I mean, a lot of times you see that one outstanding performer. Yeah, we had an outstanding performance, but still everybody showed up. But Lindy's performance still, wow. Yeah.
Well, I mean, Lindy's just, like I said before, is just a phenomenal scorer. And she made a couple shots in that game that, I mean, I think my jaw about hit the floor a couple times, because I just haven't seen her do some of the things that she did the other day. And, you know, that's the nice thing about having a player like that. I mean, when it's time to step it up, she's able to do that.
Well, we're going to be talking with Lindy Jones and Jenny Newhart, and try to get an update on Jenny Newhart. What's the knee looking like? We're 18 games into the season right now. That means 9 are left. She's played in 9. Started, I believe, 6 of those. So we'll talk to Jenny when we come back here in just a few moments. You're watching the Pam Bowden Show here on College Access Channel 6.
Check it out!
The campus has it all.
Learn it, or work it, or play it, just do it. It's a cool place. Call now. Go to work, go to school, go ahead.
There's an awesome power that can eliminate over half of our nation's defense forces. It's everywhere, and it can strike at any time. Who has this incredible power? You do. If you employ National Guard and Reserve members, you need to use your power wisely, because today, the Guard and Reserve make up over half of our country's defense. So when they need time off to serve, be a hero. Give them the freedom to protect ours.
Well, it's not a big stretch of the imagination to say that this year's IPFW women's basketball team is probably, at least, well, certainly on paper right now, but even looking down the road at some of the past teams, probably the strongest team in the history of IPFW women's basketball. And that's saying a lot when you look back at some of the teams back in the early 90s led by Lisa Miller. But for the last 4 years, a pair of seniors have well, they're seniors now, but you guys have kind of steadily come on. You've both been starters since your sophomore years here at IPFW, and now, you know, you're looking at the close of your career, and could you've ever dreamed that you'd go out like this? I mean, it's really been a great year.
I never thought we'd be, this good. I knew that we could be, you know, a good team, but we worked really hard this year. The combination of Coach Sutherland and Coach Bowden have really, you know, brought us together as a team and made us work hard. So I never thought that we'd be, you know, 16-2 at this point, but we're really proud of it. So. And
Jenny, I know it's really been a frustrating year for you. I mean, we knew we were going to talk about this, but you've played in 9 games, you started about 6 of them, and really started to get things rolling. You were actually injured. Why don't you explain that to us? You were out at the beginning of the year, early, had some knee problems, and then kind of take us through what's been going on with you, because we are going to talk here in a few minutes. You're coming back this week, and you're really looking forward to that. But take us back to kind of what's been going on.
Well, this past fall in August, I tore cartilage in my knee and had arthroscopic surgery. And then as soon as I got that fixed, the very next day I broke a bone in my right hand. And so I was out for a while with that. And then I came back and then I pulled both leg muscles really bad, and I was out for like 2 weeks with that. And I came back and I played a few games, and then I had an eye injury that I was out for a week, and then I came back for a couple more weeks, and then I tore some more cartilage in my knee and just got that fixed.
So learning how to knock on the wood after that jinx word comes up, huh?
Yeah.
Well, but now the cartilage is okay. The doctors have cleared you to go this week.
Yeah, they cleared me today.
All right, so tonight is the night, actually, because we're filming Monday. It's shown Thursday, so you're going to be coming out tonight, Jenny, and you're still putting together a pretty solid season, 11.8 points and 6.2 rebounds. But what do you think's the one thing, the team has gone on, done pretty well, but they've still been missing something inside. What are you going to bring back to the team?
Hopefully some more leadership, try to get the girls going, talk more on defense.
And Lindy, to throw it back to you, I know it's been tough, and a lot more of the scoring has fallen on your shoulders, and sometimes it's been great, and sometimes it's been not so great. But what's it going to mean to have Jenny back in there? Because I know you're certainly more familiar with playing basketball with her as opposed to without her.
Jenny helps out a lot with leadership and things like that, and rebounding, and it's always nice to have, you know, somebody else in there, you know, to get everybody going and not have to rely on, you know, Wendy Recker or me. Or so when us three are in there, it's, you know, it's really helpful to get people going and stuff, and it's nice having her there because I've played with her for 3 years now, so it's just kind of, you know, helps me out too. So.
Well, Lindy, and Jenny, you were able to go on the trip last weekend, and you were able to watch how the team was beaten up in practice earlier in the week. And remember last week, Lindy, when we got done with the show, you and Wendy Recker were both saying, you know, I need to take a bath to get loose a little bit here. And that was the Monday, and so that was the start of it. You guys were kind of showing that tiredness a little bit on Thursday against Parkside, a 10-point win, but things really started clicking, I think, on Saturday. Why don't you talk about that? St. Joseph's is the team that's been in the top 25 this year, and bang, you come out, and Lindy, we got to point this out, and it's certainly something to be very proud of. A career high and a school record high, 43 points for you, and a career best 14 rebounds. Now, we knew you could shoot, but the rebounds is what really surprised me. So, why don't you talk first about the rebounding, and where did that come from?
I told coaches earlier that I was going to get seven rebounds or more because I had only been getting like 5 or so. And I knew they were getting on my case about that, so I thought, well, I better pick that up a little bit. And now that I said I was going to get 7 or more, I know I'm going to be in trouble for these next games if I don't get that many. But I just put it in my mind that I was gonna do it, and it worked out.
So then let's go back to the points, because 43. I don't know. When you're in that kind of a zone, you were clearly in a zone. Do you realize how many points you're getting, or does it just kind of come? By the way, you only hit 1 3-pointer, and that's normally that kind of it boosts up the points a little bit. You really didn't go to the line as much. 18 field goals. Do you understand, or do you just kind of let it flow in the game?
I don't even think about it when I'm playing. I just go out there and play hard. And the thing Saturday was, normally I drive to the middle, and they were kind of stopping me from going that way, so I just kept going baseline. So I don't, they just kept trying to stop me from going that way, and they left it open all night, so I just took advantage of that. So most of the time I just drove.
Now, I heard that there was one play where you actually went down the middle, went up right-handed, and Jenny knows about this, went up right-handed and switched to your left hand and shot. Is this true, or do you not remember?
I don't recall. I just maybe I thought I was going to get stuffed and had to do something about it. I don't know.
Just kind of threw it, and it was one of those nights, huh? Well, Lindy, for the 4th time this year, you've been named GLVC Player of the Week, and that's quite an honor. Last year, you had a great season. It came once to you last year, and now 4 times. I mean, do you understand the impact? I think that actually you guys as a pair really are making on this conference, the GLVC, as it expands with new teams in the region, and now you've brought them to the national forefront. I mean, this has really been quite an accomplishment for you two as a pair to really help bring this team. And what does that mean to you? Because your careers are winding down now, and it's going to be a good memory.
It's kind of nice to end on a good note, because our freshman year we weren't that good, and it seems like every year we just keep getting better. And it's nice to go uphill rather than downhill. It's a good feeling.
And Lindy, it's got to be kind of gratifying to you to finally set a school record that Lisa Miller held before, because you're going to come in 2nd in scoring, and Jenny, you're going to be right up there behind her in rebounding, but Jenny, you are the school's all-time leading block shot getter, and Lindy, you're probably going to end tops in steals by the time you're done. So, as you look back on your careers, you can certainly look back on success, and that's the name of the game. But what's the one thing that you really want to bring out of this season? If there's one goal.
I want to go to the tournament. Yeah. I know that. I want to. Yeah. I mean, it'd be nice if we can win a game in the tournament, and just play really well as a team, and I'll be satisfied with that.
Does it matter to you where you're seated or whatever right now? Is it just getting there?
Just getting there. I think a conference championship would be nice too, because IPFW's never had one.
And any words of wisdom for Indianapolis when they come back in here? It's a team that you all have never beaten in your career, and it is a thorn in your side. It was the first loss for the team this year, and that's actually going to be on Channel 6 here in a few weeks. So, is that a game you're going to be shooting for?
I think we'll definitely be ready.
We will win. Ask Coach Bowden.
But anyway, we want to thank you all for joining us here on the show today, and I don't have any parting gifts for you, though. But we are going to be back coming up in the next segment with IPFW head coach Pam Bowden. We're going to be talking about next week in IPFW women's basketball, as well as the opponents coming up this week. So I want to thank Lindy and Jenny for joining us this week. And Jenny, good luck in your comeback this week, and take it slow and just get ready for the NCAA tournament. But we're going to be coming back with IPFW head women's basketball coach Pam Bowden when we return here on the Pam Bowden Show this week in IPFW women's basketball.
Sally wants to be a surgeon someday. Maybe she'll operate on you. Now, would you like a free booklet of simple ways you can help improve her education? Call 1-800-96-PROMISE.
Why would anybody give someone they don't know a gift? Because the need is desperate. Please give blood. There's a life to be saved right now.
Hello, I'm Kenny G. New national standards for music and the other arts in our public schools can help ensure your child receives a complete education. To find out more, call this toll-free number.
Welcome back to the Pam Bowden Show. Again, I'm your host, Matt DeLong. Hope you enjoyed that last segment. We'll be trying to bring you many of the IPFW women's basketball players, at least as long as we have the show on this year. So we hope you'll enjoy that. That'll be at about the 10 minutes past time each week. Now, Pam, this week another big week in GLVC basketball. We've got SIU Edwardsville in here on Thursday, and which is actually will be coming on just following this show. So please stay tuned. But on Thursday and then Quincy on Saturday. Why don't you kind of introduce Edwardsville to us?
Well, Edwardsville is a very good team, probably a sleeper compared to, I guess, what most people thought at the beginning of the year. And they've surprised a lot of people. Very high scoring as far as field goal percentage from the floor. They've done a real good job. And they're pretty balanced. But the biggest thing I think from them that I expect is, their physical play.
They're going to come into the game with a 12-5 record. Again, another one of those teams, just like St. Joseph's. They could beat anybody on any given night, and actually probably got to give the nod to St. Joseph's in a head-to-head with those two schools. Edwardsville was in here a few years ago, and so some of the people around here maybe have seen them, but it has been a few years back, and they're also 7-4 in the conference. So still one of those teams that's got an outside shot with us and Bellarmine both at 9-2. They come in at Southern Indiana's got a bunch of games to make up, and we'll touch on that too. They've got just a horrible week of games coming up, and so there could be some changes there. And then Edwardsville, St. Joseph's, Northern Kentucky, all at 7-4. I tell you, there's really quite a group up there, Pam.
Yeah, there sure is. And the thing that I was really hoping with that we were able to come out with a St. Joe's game is that actually put them at 4 losses. And looking down the road, that they may pick up another loss, and that'll pretty much knock them out of contention for the conference championship. Any one of those teams that have 4 losses are pretty much in a lot of trouble, I think, as far as the conference is concerned. But any one of those teams can knock off one of the top teams, and so Bellarmine or USI or ourselves really have to be playing every game at top notch, and even at the end for us, we need to steal a couple.
Saturday night at 6 o'clock, we're going to be hosting Quincy. Hope to have a great crowd out for that. A lot of special promotions that are planned for that. You were a 15-point winner, 87-72 over them on January 4th. So your first game coming back after after the holidays and that. Give us a rundown on Quincy. So this is one of the teams that, again, you have seen before. You played St. Joseph's twice, came out, did a pretty good job against them. The second time you played them, what do you look for against Quincy?
Well, they're a very physical team. They've got one real good three-point shooter, which we were able to shut down the first time, or at least the first round. They will lay a body on you. We went up the first couple times when we were at their place, and we just got hammered, and sort of slowed us down a little bit to the type of game that we like to play. So I'm looking for them to be fairly physical. I don't know which is going to be worse, the Edwardsville game or the Quincy game, but I expect that we have a real good shot at winning the Quincy game, and it'll be a little bit different because in that game, the first game that we played, Lindy was out for most of the game. She had pulled a calf muscle in that game, so I think the score will be a little bit different the second time around, just because we have everybody back, and Jen being back and everything. So we're I think pretty full force now.
So you brought it up as my next question. I mean, we talked to Jenny the last segment. She seemed pretty well ready to go. So does it seem like she's going to get some serious playing time, or as a coach, do you have to look at it kind of like the Marcus Camby situation that we're seeing with UMass? Somebody's out for a while, whether they're ready to go or not, they just can't do it at that level that they left at that time.
Well, I think Thursday we're going to try to see if we can play her at least 10 minutes for that game against Edwardsville, and then we'll take it from there on Saturday. You know, whether we can give her more minutes or not. And you know, I don't plan on starting her this week. You know, I think Renee's done a very good job for us stepping in, and I think she deserves, you know, to continue in that position for a while.
Okay, Coach. Looking at the national situation now, the USA Today poll is not out as of filming time right now. We were 18th last week, but why don't you explain a little something that happened in the regional polls? Because I know the newspapers have been printing the regional polls, and we announced on our show that we were ranked 3rd in the region. Yet comes out in the paper that we're ranked number 2 in the region. So why don't you try to explain that? Maybe we'll have a better understanding as far as how the seeding could possibly go for the NCAA regional tournament.
Well, the regional committee felt that by placing Bellarmine ahead with their 2 wins against Northern Kentucky and Indianapolis, that they deserve to be ahead of us in the regional rankings. But when that information went to the national committee overrode them and flip-flopped us, so we actually ended up 2nd last week because we had beaten Bellarmine. And our schedules are fairly equal and things like that, so that was the information that I received as to why we were flipped to the 2nd spot in the region. I think the voting came out the same way this week, and I'm not sure how what the national committee decided again. So I'm hoping that we'll stay in the 2nd slot and maybe move up a little bit in the national rankings again this week.
Well, you would and we do know that the regional committee came back with a 3rd place vote this week, but with a win over a St. Joseph's, who's also been in the top 25 this season. That's just going to raise their eyebrows more. And is this a possible controversy leading into the into the NCAA tournament, because the season is winding down?
It could be. I'm really not sure what everybody's thinking. The national committee is a little bit different than the USA Today poll, and so I'm really not sure what everybody's thinking. I think that Bellarmine has had the respect traditionally, and I think that's a little bit of why everybody keeps putting them up in the regionals. We had one bad week. They've just, seem to be playing real well right now, and they've 7 or 8 straight right now. So they've got the positiveness going with them right now.
I guess if we just win, it doesn't make a difference, does it? We come head-to-head with Bellarmine still later in the season. That's on the road. It'll be a tough one, but Pam, good luck tonight and Saturday. And we'll be back again next Thursday at 5:30 here with the Pam Bowden Show, talking about IPFW women's basketball. Thanks for joining us. Good evening and welcome to another edition of the Pam Bowden Show. We're going to be talking about IPFW women's basketball, talk about last week, this coming week, and also got some highlights for you. Got some special guests in the studio today as well. I'm your host, Matt DeLong, and we'll be right back with the show.
What are you eating?
Pizza.
What kind of pizza?
Plain cheese.
How are you eating it?
I'm eating it on the side because
Hey, lobster for 2 bucks.
No, we didn't.
What do you want for Christmas?
I don't know.
If you don't stop someone from driving drunk, who will?
Like 2 Frappies.
Do whatever it takes.
Team spirit is alive and well at IPFW. That's because IPFW has established itself as an athletic power, not only regionally, but nationally. With 11 major sports, IPFW offers talented student athletes great opportunities. Success and support of IPFW athletics comes solely from the fans, students, faculty, alumni, and the prestigious Royal Dons Club. The Royal Dons Athletic Club has over 500 members who financially support IPFW athletics, enabling the university to provide scholarships to deserving athletes. Members will receive one or all of the following: season passes to all sporting events, special seating, hospitality room, plus Royal Dons apparel and gifts. Be a part of the winning tradition. Join the Royal Dons Club. We need your support. Call IPFW Athletics. Get into the team spirit.
Back to the Pam Bowden Show. I'm your host, Matt DeLong. And Pam, last week, another winning week in IPFW basketball. But in all honesty, it was an up and down week. Played one great half, starting off the week against SIU Edwardsville. Certainly a game that you knew was going to be tough. Edwardsville is a team, they've lost to the #1 team in the nation, Abilene Christian, this year. And lost to the likes of Bellarmine. And first time, really, we played them this year. I think we've only played them a couple times in the history. So. New team to the conference, don't know a whole lot about them. They come in here and really your team has a great first half, really runs out to a comfortable first half lead, and then things kind of fell apart in the second half and you actually trailed. You were up 12, I think as much as 20 in the first half, 12 at half, and then the team trailed. A little deja vu for you?
Oh, a little bit. I think we got it just a little complacent with where we were at, looked at the score a little bit. So I was a little disappointed in how we came out in the second half. We started, went from the 12-point lead to an 18-point lead, and then all of a sudden we quit playing hard. And actually shot terrible from the floor. I think we shot blazing 16%. So between those two things, we just sort of dug ourselves a 4-point deficit after a while. They were up by 4, and last 5 minutes we decided to play again, and we held them to 2 points from the floor the rest of the way out.
Again, it was one of those games where free throws bailed you out. And it's not to say that free throws are a bailout, but your team is rising to the occasion once again when it comes to free throws. And you said in the past you really don't do much with free throws. Where do you explain the success this year with that?
Well, I think we have some kids that really are good free throw shooters, and those are the kids that are really getting to the line, so that helps. I mean, Leah Sheets is ranked 7th in the country right now, and Lindy's 9th. So that adds a lot to where we're at, and we're still in the lead in the nation as far as a team in overall free throw shooting. So. But
it goes a little bit deeper than that the other night, because it was Tara Mazzillo who's going to join us here in a little while. She hits a couple of free throws, and then Renee Ressler's been really consistent at the line. It's got to do you as a coach. Jenny Newhart also, she made a return.
Right.
Surprisingly, you're off for a long time. She's had knee problems, comes in, hits a lot of free throws.
Yeah, she did a very good job coming back. I was a little surprised that she was actually that on from the line. She did a little bit better from the line than she did from the floor. I think she's, her touch was, on and off a little bit in the first game.
But nonetheless, IPFW comes back, takes the game 68-64, and really took the game. I mean, you came back, you fought hard. It was a good last 5 minutes. But what are you feeling? What's the coaching staff feeling after that game? Well,
I was a little disturbed with where we were at, and we sat and talked a lot on Friday about some things, and I think that helped the kids out, just from an all-around perspective. I think with where we've been in looking at being 16-2 or 14-0 or whatever, it has been a pretty pressured season, I think, for everybody, and I think sometimes we've lost sight of that a little bit. And one of the kids the other day said, it's really hard to keep winning, and I think it's been very stressful on them for the most part.
But do you think, now the team is 18-2, so obviously winning and keep winning they do. But do you look back maybe at last year? This is a veteran team. It really is, and you've brought in some key talent, but most of them return. And do you think a lot of the close losses last year, Bellarmine on a last-second shot, last millisecond shot, Southern Indiana a tight game, St. Joseph's a last-second shot, a lot of those losses, do you think in a way that this team has benefited from that?
Oh, I think the experience last year helped us, but this year we're able to, I think, go a step beyond where we were last year, and instead of being in the close game, being able to pull it off instead of, losing by 1 or 2 points. So. And
then Pam, and we're going to show some video here in just a moment, Quincy University comes in. It was an 82-49 win, but it was a game that you definitely expected to win. The talent level is just quite different, but I think your team went to another level in the second half, because to skunk somebody for 8 minutes and some change is pretty impressive. And you took a 14-point halftime lead, I believe, and really extended it. Any special halftime advice to the troops there?
Well, I don't know if it was any real advice, but one of the things that we did do is start mixing up our defenses a lot and just put a little wrinkle here and there and change up a little bit. And I think that threw their point guard off quite a bit. And then, we started getting out in the passing lanes and coming up with some steals, and that really made a big difference in the second half.
Well, we're going to start rolling some video here of that stretch in the second half. We really haven't cut it up much. We just decided we want to put it on, and I think we're going to start the second half off with a circus shot. Here you see Lindy Jones going up for a wild shot, and she has a lot of wild shots. And I know that sometimes it's really got to frustrate you as a coach, but when you see the results and ranked number 2, possibly number 1 in the nation in scoring right now, does that kind of let you go with that? Like, somebody needs to create, and you really have a creator type of player in there?
Well, sometimes it drives me a little nuts, but if she can just maintain her balance, that's the biggest thing, and be aware of where the double team's coming, because teams are starting to double team her a lot more. She's getting better handling it, looking for the dish and things like that. So that's been real helpful.
And what we are showing is the beginning of the second half, and IPFW actually went on about a 24-0 run, I believe.
Yeah, I think so.
And Quincy doesn't score. Now this is the beginning of the half, but Quincy doesn't score until around the 9-minute mark.
10 and a half, somewhere in there.
Yeah, exactly. So 9 minutes, 9 and some change had gone by in the half. We're just going to continue to let the video run, but Pam, you came out in a full court press, and a lot of people would say against a team like Quincy, it's a lesser team. How do you answer the critics there? Where we know as fans that your team's actually been struggling. I mean, they've been winning some tight games that shouldn't be tight.
Right.
And you have to get them in another mindset. How do you justify, and when do you take that press off of a team like that?
Like right here, we're trying to just flip-flop with some of the things we're doing in the half court. And actually on this one, we're trying to trap off the first pass. And she thought we were going to trap the dribble, so she wasn't coming up, and she was looking to pass, and then all of a sudden she wasn't able to get the pass where she wanted it. Just by changing where we're trapping or how we're trapping right now is enough to throw Quincy's point guard off just a little bit. She's a little hesitant with what she's trying to do. But what I'm really hoping right now that we're trying to be able to do against a team like Quincy, who hasn't won very much, they're a physical team. They've played some real close games with some teams and some good teams. But I want our kids to go out and play real hard every game and play consistent with, no matter who they're playing, whether they're a great team or a poor team. And, not use that they're at the bottom of the barrel as an excuse for not, having a good performance.
Well, a good performance they certainly had as IPFW goes on and wins 82-49. The lead actually got up to 40 points.
Right.
Very impressive. IPFW now 18-2 on the season, and let me see, 11-2. I was going to say 10-2. 11-2 in the conference. Stay tuned. We got some special guests in the studio when we return.
Check it out!
The campus has it all.
Learn it, or work it, or play it, just do it. It's a cool place. Call now! Go to work, go to school, go ahead.
There's an awesome power that can eliminate over half of our nation's defense forces. It's everywhere, and it can strike at any time. Who has this incredible power? You do. If you employ National Guard and Reserve members, you need to use your power wisely, because today, the Guard and Reserve make up over half of our country's defense. So when they need time off to serve, be a hero. Give them the freedom to protect ours.
Sally wants to be a surgeon someday. Maybe she'll operate on you. Now, would you like a free booklet of simple ways you can help improve her education? Call 1-800-96-PROMISE.
Welcome back to the Pam Bowden Show, and it's our special segment now where we're able to talk to some of the IPFW women's basketball players from this year, and especially this year it's a special treat for us, considering that the team is 18-2, and we're very proud to be able to offer you an opportunity to get to know some of the student athletes. And with us this week are some fairly local ladies, Wendy Recker from Auburn and Tara Mazzolo from Auburn. You both went to DeKalb High School, and quite ironic that you both end up here at IPFW, but then again, not so ironic as IPFW is kind of trying to get out and get into the community. But I don't know, the fact that you all both came up together, did you grow up playing basketball together at all, or was it kind of something you just, not really pee-wee basketball or anything like that, but it was?
I moved here to Indiana about March of my 8th grade year, and I got involved with an AAU, and I played with Tara since probably that spring of my 8th grade year. So we've been playing together for quite some time, but not when we were real little.
Okay, was it always the point guard and the center, or have you guys ever known any other roles, or
Not really.
So you've always played point guard? Tara, you've always been one of the down low kind of players?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I mean, tell me, so you go on through high school, and was your high school career the kind where you both played a lot as freshmen, or you went all the way through on the varsity, or was it more of a not necessarily? Tara?
No, we both pretty much played varsity ever since we were freshmen.
Mm-hmm. And both went on. Actually, you had some pretty successful high school years then together as well, right?
Yeah, we did. I think we won sectionals 3 of our 4 years. Our first year we didn't, but our sophomore, junior, and senior years we won. And
DeKalb has continued really to build a tradition, even, I mean, since you all have gone. Is that right?
Right.
Still got some family ties in there,
yes,
Wendy? You know, it's amazing that does like the whole town decorate your house or something?
No,
right now they're kind of holding down the men's and women's, and now you're here at IPFW. That's quite a. I imagine your mom and dad pretty much expect a win when they get phone calls from the kids.
Yeah,
anymore.
yeah, they do. Definitely.
Now, Tara, you come in here your freshman year, you really don't see a whole lot of playing time, but considering the fact that you're playing behind one of the all-time great centers in IPFW history in Pam Edwards, was that the kind of year where you could kind of feel your way in, and was it one of those learning years?
Yeah, I think I learned a lot playing with the older girls. They taught me a lot, and it was more for learning. It was fun. I enjoyed it.
You went and obviously dedicated yourself then in the off-season to come back, because really to say that you were the most improved player last year would be an understatement. You really were. You came in and earned a starting spot when I don't think a lot of people really thought that you were going to be as big a contributor last year as you were. And it probably all came together for you at the tournament here at IPFW, and you got tournament MVP. Was that a special moment for you?
Yeah, I was proud of myself. I was glad that I worked in the off-season, because that really helped.
Now, one of the things that I've really seen, and last week you showed it, was developing a three-point shot. Now, don't you know that centers aren't supposed to be shooting the three-point shot? And where does that come from?
Well, Coach told me I need to start working on it, so.
So really, it's just the coach is making you do it.
Well, she's not making me, but.
And I don't see many I don't see many coaches. Well, actually, we're going to talk to the coach about that. I want to see if she's telling you to do this, or is this something that's just coming up, because you're really developing the outside shot. But anyway, you should be commended for that, because I think that's definitely one of the potions behind the success this year. 18-2, and Wendy, the last time we talked to you, I think we were 14-2.
Right.
And things were a little bit down then. What's happened to kind of turn things around and start to bring the team maybe back up to the level they were at a few weeks ago or even a month ago?
I think we're kind of taking the philosophy of one game at a time. Again, we realized, you know, after those losses that we only had so many games left in the season, and we were going to just take it one game at a time and go out there. And the big thing for us to do is to be consistent with working hard. I mean, everything else should follow that, but you know, we're just decided to work hard, and it's been paying off.
Yeah, the talent's definitely starting, you know, to spread the ball around and let everybody get into it a little bit. It's starting to happen, and the teamwork's coming back. Now, Tara, what kind of a special, maybe a little extra pressure on you? Did you feel that with Jenny Newhart being out? I mean, you guys were kind of the Chicago Bulls had the three-headed monster, and we had in three centers that they rotate a lot. And you two were kind of interchangeable, forward, center. Each of you can handle the ball out top a little bit. Did you feel a little bit of pressure when she was gone for so long that gosh, I got to take my game to another level now?
Yeah, because Jenny was one of our top scorers, and I had to pick up for some of that, and also for our rebounding. And
rebounding, you certainly did. On the season now, Tara, I think you're leading the team at 5.9 rebounds a game. What do you guys see the rest of the way? Clearly, it's a tight conference race, and this week, to say it's the biggest week of the year, I mean, you could say that a couple times, but anytime you start the second round and you're tied with a team for first place, and you have Bellarmine coming up on Thursday, what's this game going to mean, Wendy?
This game means a lot, especially playing at Bellarmine. It's going to be tough. We're not going to get the calls that we may get at home, but I think that we just have the mindset now to go in there, play hard, let it all hang out, because we really don't have anything to lose. We can just go in there and play hard.
Now, defensively, what are you going to have to do to stop Bellarmine? Now, this is a team that can shoot the threes. They can get the ball down low. And, Terry, you're going to have a tough matchup with, about a 6'3" center, Gonzalez, I believe, 6'2", 6'3". And I don't think you're really used to playing people that are much bigger than you. So you look at that as a special challenge?
Yeah, I do. They're very physical, so I'll have to step it up a notch and be physical. And just try and keep them out of the high-low game.
And from there, you go on to Kentucky Wesleyan. What do you look for out of them? I mean, this is a team that could sneak up on anybody.
Yeah, they have that. They could do that, but right now we're just concentrating on Bellarmine, so I don't think, we'll look at Kentucky Wesleyan on Friday. And
Bellarmine College going to be playing St. Joseph's, Southern Indiana tomorrow. A lot of things could change there, but if you could point to one game that means everything, would you say that this is the one that you want to bring back? Yeah. All right. Hey, thanks for joining us here. We'll look forward to talking to you guys again sometime soon. And go DeKalb. My goodness, you all are certainly bringing us a lot out of the community. So thanks a lot. Look, we'll be back with head coach Pam Bowden to wrap up the show when we return right after this.
Why would anybody give someone they don't know a gift? Because the need is desperate. Please give blood. There's a life to be saved right now.
Hello, I'm Kenny G. New national standards for music and the other arts in our public schools can help ensure your child receives a complete education. To find out more, call this toll-free number.
Billy wants to work on airplanes when he grows up. Maybe one that you fly in. Now, would you like this free booklet of simple ways you can help improve his education? Call 1-800-96-PROMISE.
Welcome back to the Pam Bowden Show. Again, I'm your host, Matt DeLong. And, Coach, we're going to talk about this upcoming week. We just touched on it with the players there just a moment ago. And I think what Tara Mazzillo pointed out was probably an understatement to the way you're going to explain it to me. Physical. That Bellarmine plays physical. Just to update you, Bellarmine 15-3 on the season, ranked number 20 in the country. Clearly the hottest team around. They've won 10 games in a row. After this Tuesday, now you're going to be seeing this on Friday, so a lot of things may change by then, so please pardon us if we're a little bit behind. But Bellarmine plays Southern Indiana on Tuesday, which there's no easy way to get by Southern Indiana. They're not the team that they were last year probably, but they're still very tough. And then they have us Thursday, and then who after?
Oh, goodness. Indianapolis.
Indianapolis, exactly, which is a team that we gave a lot of confidence to earlier. I mean, they haven't been the same team since,
no,
quite honestly.
they haven't, unfortunately.
They've really been playing well. So, Pam, what's it going to take for IPFW to pull this game out? You know, one of the best games of the year was when Bellarmine came in here. It was very physical. Lindy Jones hits 2 free throws with a couple seconds left, wins the game for us.
Well, I think the biggest part is that we have to, one, expect that they're going to be physical, because they are the most physical team in the conference by all means. And I think that we have to be ready for that, and we have to play that style of game. Second, I think that we really need to concentrate on getting back in defensive transition and keeping them from scoring the 3 from the wings. If we can do that and you know, really take advantage of what we have available out of our offense, I think we'll be okay.
From there, you go on to Kentucky Wesleyan, Pam, and Kentucky Wesleyan certainly not not known for women's basketball. Their men's basketball pretty much carries them, and as a matter of fact, their women's basketball team is treated much less there. Is this the kind of game you go into, you're kind of happy that you have, because the competition's not the same as Bellarmine. This is a tougher team than they have been in the past, but they're still not there yet. They're rebuilding the program, or building it up. Coach is doing a real good job down there. But in a way, are you glad? Because you know the team's going to be beat up after Bellarmine. There's no easy way of getting through that. It's going to be a war. That game is going to set up a possible tournament rematch down the road. Are you kind of happy with the scheduling then?
Well, I'm really glad that we're not playing a USI after that, or in Edwardsville. It's just going to give us a little bit of a break. We'll be able to rotate, I think, a few more people in that game than we are the Bellarmine game. But, you know, Bellarmine is the one that we're really looking at right now and focusing on. And, you know, once we get past that, then Friday we'll start concentrating on Kentucky Wesleyan. And like Wendy said before, we really are trying to get, you know, the one game at a time kind of focus.
Now, just to point out, maybe depth is a little bit different now. I think Jenny Newhard was around for the first Bellarmine game. Or, actually, I'm not sure if she was, because she had some eye problems.
Yeah, I think she
okay, she did play that game, actually fouled out of that game. And but Krista Hennings has really come on down in the post since that time. Do you think that there's any wrinkles, so that your team has come, you know, a certain ways since that, you know, that first 10 games of the season?
Yeah, after looking at the videotape today, you know, trying to look at some things a little bit differently, I think we've improved in some areas. You know, one thing, you know, Tom and I were talking today was, as we're watching, were the double teams that Bellarmine uses and things like that. You know, Lindy was getting herself in a lot of trouble with that in the first game, and you know, we've had a lot of teams do that recently, and she's gotten a lot better, not getting in the trap and passing or shooting the pull-up jumper before she gets there. So, you know, I think any of our guards are getting better because we've been working a lot more on that kind of stuff.
Now, I think that any fan of IPFW basketball is going to notice that Leah Sheets, the production really hasn't been there lately. The last game that she comes out, hits her first 3 shots, got some rebounds. After that, there's really no need to play your starters, and so thus Lindy Jones, who had jumped up to a tie for #1 in the country, she finishes the game with 19 points. He took her out with about 12 minutes. He took everybody out with about 12 minutes to go, and then started rotating the freshmen and sophomores in the game a lot more. But Leah seemed to start to come out of it, and then there really wasn't a need to keep your frontline players in there. Do you really see her starting to come out of that little funk she's been in?
Yeah, she's been practicing a little bit better in the last week or so, and she played a lot better on Saturday, even though her time was limited. Today's practice, she did a lot better, so I really think that she'll be okay in the next few games, and you know, I'm just counting on her to turn it around, and I think she will.
Why don't you explain the change to a lot of the fans that would see in a starting lineup? A team's 18-2, even though you lose 2 games, and then there's a change in the starting lineup. So maybe where you're going with that.
Well, I had talked to you a little bit before about, we've had Jen out for a little bit, and then I put Jessica Henry in the starting lineup and took Leah out. I may actually just keep those two kids out and use them with our second rotation in, and that'll give us a little bit more strength coming from the bench and maybe make that balance a little bit better and the transition better with the second group that's going in. So hopefully that'll be a real positive move for us.
Okay, well, okay, then let me play the devil's advocate. Bellarmine's a very big team, and you're starting a small lineup.
Well, that does cause a little problem. We've been contemplating what way we want to go with that, whether we want to put Leah back in the starting lineup for this game or not. I don't think we'll make any change in the post right now, just because Jen's still trying to get back into the flow of things. But yeah, I still don't know where we're going to go. We're still looking at a couple different options with our starting lineup yet.
But the bottom line is you still have a 6'1" center coming off the bench that's been all-conference, and another all-conference player in Leah Sheets that is going to have a fabulous career here, and that's a nice luxury, isn't it? It
sure is, and no matter what we start off with on Thursday, I mean, I think right now the biggest thing is that we've got to come out and play hard. We've got to play physical. We can't, I guess we can't let them control the boards. We've got to be physical and control it with what we're doing.
Well, Pam, you got the team into the top 20. You're hanging around right now. You're ranked number 16. That could possibly change, move up to 15 or 14 is what we're looking at here this week. Number 3 in the region, but again, that's going to change possibly. Us and Bellarmine are going to check each other out, so it probably won't be a big move in the regional polls. But looming in the distance is the NCAA tournament. So.
Right, we're hoping we're going to be there.
All right, well, look, thanks for joining us here on the Pam Bowden Show. I'm your host, Matt DeLong, and join us next week, and we're going to update you on this huge Bellarmine game. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you at the Gates Center soon.